Hi, I'm Lisa Valenti, registered dietitian with Healthline. Today we're talking about what to eat when you have high cholesterol. Food is a powerful tool in managing high cholesterol, and what you eat will be a topic you likely discuss with your healthcare team when you talk about ways to lower your risk of heart disease. Depending on your cholesterol levels and whether you're prescribed a cholesterol-lowering medication, your doctor may want to meet with you every few months to keep an eye on your levels and help make tweaks to what you're eating or your medication as needed. While no one food will make or break your health, eating patterns that are high in certain types of fats, sodium, and added sugar, and low in fiber have been shown to increase levels of your LDL cholesterol, sometimes called the bad cholesterol, and lower your HDL cholesterol, aka good cholesterol. But how do you know which foods to eat less of and which ones to put in your shopping cart? Stay tuned. First, I'll be going a little more in depth on the nutrients you should look out for on food labels, and then we'll get into some cholesterol-friendly food swaps. Let's start with fats. There are different types of fats that we eat, and some are better for our heart and cholesterol than others. Eating too much saturated fat makes it harder for your liver to process cholesterol. Your liver is a hard-working organ with many jobs, and its cells contain receptors for LDL. When everything is working as it should, these receptors in your liver are able to pull LDL cholesterol out of your blood so it can be broken down. But when we consume too much saturated fat, the LDL receptors in the liver can't work as well, causing the body to produce more LDL, which can build up over time. Fried foods, higher fat cuts of red meat, butter, and many baked goods are high in saturated fat. The American Heart Association recommends that only 5 to 6% of your daily calories come from saturated fats, and to avoid eating trans fats as much as possible. Trans fats are not much of an issue as they once were because partially hydrogenated oils, the main source of trans fats in our diets, are no longer recognized as safe by the FDA, and food companies had to phase them out in 2021. Next is sodium. Salt itself hasn't been shown to directly affect cholesterol levels, but there's still a reason you want to pay attention to sodium on food labels. High salt intake has been linked with high blood pressure, and diets high in sodium may raise the risk of heart disease. Plus, many foods that are high in sodium also tend to be more highly processed. For most people, the recommendation is to consume no more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day, or about 1 teaspoon of salt. For those with high blood pressure, sodium intake should be limited to no more than 1,500 milligrams per day. Now we'll look at added sugar. Research on added sugar and cholesterol levels is a little mixed. On one hand, some studies suggest that a high intake of added sugar results in an increased production of LDL cholesterol and a reduction in HDL. However, other observational studies haven't found a significant relationship. We know that eating high amounts of added sugar has been shown to contribute to other risk factors for heart disease, including type 2 diabetes and obesity. Most Americans eat too much added sugar, most of it coming from sugar-sweetened beverages. The American Heart Association recommends limiting added sugar intake to no more than 25 grams per day, or about 6 teaspoons for women, and no more than 36 grams, about 9 teaspoons per day for men. And let's not forget about fiber. When you consume fiber, especially soluble fiber, it can actually help lower your LDL cholesterol levels. Plus, it may also help reduce blood pressure and inflammation. You should aim for 25 to 35 grams of fiber every day. The number varies slightly depending on your age and sex. You can find soluble fiber in foods like oats, beans, lentils, sweet potatoes, broccoli, and avocado. Now that you know what nutrients to look for, let's talk about a few cholesterol-friendly swaps to make. Meat. While there are some exceptions, red meat, including beef, pork, and lamb, tends to be higher in saturated fat. You can easily swap these out for leaner sources of protein such as skinless poultry, lean ground turkey or chicken, and fish high in heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids like salmon or herring. If you're craving red meat, opt for leaner cuts including pork tenderloin, flank steak, or lean ground beef. And don't forget plant-based proteins. They can be an excellent swap because they're low in saturated fat and high in fiber. Some examples include beans, lentils, and tofu. Dairy. For milk, yogurt, and cheese, look for lower fat options instead of whole milk products. Just keep in mind that some dairy products are high in added sugar, so always double check those labels. Fried foods. Fried foods are notoriously high in saturated fat and often high in sodium too. Instead, opt for foods that are baked, air-fried, sautéed, roasted, or poached. Oils. Tropical oils, including coconut and palm oils, are high in saturated fat and should be limited. It's also a good idea to limit margarine and shortening in your cooking and baking. Instead, choose plant-based oils that are richer in healthy fats like olive oil or avocado oil. Grains. Don't worry, I'm not here to tell you to stop eating bread or pasta, but a great rule of thumb to follow is to look for whole grain, higher fiber swaps for those refined grains like your white rice, flour tortillas, and white bread. Farro is a nutty whole grain that can be a substitute for rice, or you could try quinoa, barley, oats, or whole wheat versions of bread, wraps, and pasta. Legume-based alternatives like chickpea pasta can also be a nice way to boost your fiber and protein intake. Desserts. By no means do you have to avoid sweets entirely. However, to help your cholesterol levels, you'll want to focus on moderation, whether that means eating your favorite cookies less often or opting for smaller portion sizes or both. You can also make healthier versions of your favorite treats by using whole grains and less sugar as you bake, but you would still want to eat those in moderate portions. Alcohol. Keeping your intake of alcohol to a low or moderate level might not be a bad idea for your heart. And it's worth noting that the World Health Organization recently concluded that no amount of alcohol is safe to consume for your health because it can increase your risk for certain chronic conditions and diseases. Luckily, the non-alcoholic beverage business is booming, so there's options for every palate. You can try a mocktail or non-alcoholic wine or beer. Just be mindful of added sugar. We'll link some Healthline recipes below that highlight some of these cholesterol-friendly swaps and include a link to sign up for our Healthline recipe newsletter, where you'll get monthly recipes customized to your dietary preferences, such as low saturated fat recipes, high fiber recipes, and more. As I mentioned before, there's no one food that will magically lower your cholesterol levels. Instead, it's the collection of your choices over time that will have the largest effect. And along with these swaps we covered, be sure to prioritize fruits and vegetables, which are an essential part of a heart-healthy diet because they're rich in fiber, antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals. By putting at least one serving of fruits or vegetables into each meal and snack, you can easily meet the recommended amount of 4 to 5 servings per day. Other foods to prioritize include avocados, nuts like almonds and cashews, and seeds like chia seeds and flax seeds, which are excellent sources of heart-healthy fats. You'll naturally eat many of these foods if you follow a Mediterranean diet, DASH diet, or a plant-based diet, which are all examples of eating patterns that have been shown to help lower cholesterol and support overall heart health. We'll link our Mediterranean diet for beginners video here if you're interested in learning more. While they differ in the exact types of foods and the amounts eaten, these diets are similar in that they encourage eating more whole plant-based foods and limiting your intake of added sugar, saturated fats, and highly processed foods. And it's not about giving up your favorite foods. If those include meat and cheese, you can still eat those while also increasing your fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. I hope these tips make it a little easier to understand what to eat if you have high cholesterol. With some practice, you'll become a pro at reading food labels and reaching for cholesterol-friendly swaps at the grocery store, and your heart will thank you for it. For more resources and support, be sure to check out Healthline.com, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more from me and Healthline.